Alright, this week I'm going to talk about Dragonlance. Recently just came across about the TV show that Joe Magnatelli was going to do, an actor. Of course, as of this recording, last I heard, it was pretty much dead in the water and wasn't going to come out, which is kind of like a disappointment because having a Dragonlance TV series would have been awesome and everything. Even if it was like anime or animation and not necessarily like a live action, sort of like the Rings of Power. So even if it was an animation or a cartoon or whatever, it would have been kind of cool to see a TV series on something that's been popular for decades and everything. So now, with that said, I did grow up with the Chronicles and all the subsequent books that came out. Like, of course, the Legends dealt with Cameron and Raistlin, like kind of like after the Chronicles, and then of course they had like a subsequent books, like I said, that built upon like your backgrounds with the characters, like dealing with the Chronicles, like the whole War of the Lance type of scenario, and of course then they had the subsequent books that kind of like progressed the story afterwards and everything. So you had like dozens, if not like hundreds. I think it was like actually like 200 books or something that was released, pretty much telling about the whole story for like the War of the Lance and like the background, like the history, like because you had like things like Huma the Knight, and like dealt with him, and like was the prehistory or like background information, or like the kind of like deal like with the history of that predated the Chronicles and everything. So now, while it's kind of a bummer that the TV show is kind of like dead in the water and we really can't sit there and watch it and everything, but we can like sit here and now play it. So now I have gone over like the Shadow of the Dragon Queen adventure book, so we can play it in 5th edition, and of course we also have like the Warriors of Kryn, the board game that I've gone over as well. So we do have the ability to play. So the Shadow of the Dragon Queen is the adventure book that like I went over. So it takes place like in another section of the whole world of Kryn. So you're not necessarily directly involved in like with the characters of the Chronicles and everything. You're now doing your own adventures. And the same thing like with the Warriors Kryn Dragonlance board game. So now I've gone over like how you can like use both together, separate, or like kind of do your own, or quite possibly you could just use the concepts like, oh hey, here's something cool, like I can use this as a backdrop and everything. I don't necessarily need to use this the materials. Now, like I said, I have done videos on that as well. So the whole idea here is just kind of talk about like the TV show. So you can't necessarily like watch it, like I said, but we can sit there and play it and everything. So this is the whole kind of concept, kind of getting the idea. So like, well, like the questions like, well, you can't watch Dragonlance. Well, why can't we play it and everything? So there are products out there like the ones I've just mentioned with the adventure book of the Shadow of the Dragon Queen, plus the Warriors of Kryn board game. And of course, like as if you're like a very creative DM, which most are, if not all of them, then like you can be able to come up with your own concepts and everything. So like you could quite possibly even use the Chronicles as like a backdrop to kind of like weave your characters in and kind of maybe going off onto like a slightly different storyline. So like I'll quickly reference like the map here. So as you can pause it and everything. So like with I got this upside down. With the Chronicles, they actually take place like in the southern part of the world, like in Claw and SD, and like the Plains of Dust and everything. And so like the Shadow of the Dragon Queen takes place in like the Northern Waste, which is like as I referenced this, like so the Chronicles take down place down here. The Shadow of the Dragon Queen takes place up here. So that adventure book. So like, as you can see with the map, you have like a whole different world of like. Here, I'll let you, as I'm fumbling, stumbling, let people like pause and be able to kind of pause and like look at the map. So like you could quite, in a sense, go to like run an adventure in Bloodhelm, Blode, or even Balfour, Kendamore. You could even go into the Minotaur lands and everything, like with the in the northeastern islands where the Minotaurs are, and run adventures there. That type of adventure. So like or you could always go to like the northern Aragoth, southern Aragoth in the west, like kind of like northwest of Qualinesti, where the chronicles take place. So the ability to run adventures in lieu of TV, with no TV show, being able to sit down and watch and engage with, what we can do is we can why not make our own adventures and everything? So like you don't necessarily need to like the Shadow of the Dragon Queen adventure book or the Warriors of Krynn themselves. So what you can do is like make your own adventures and everything. So like just use like the whole chronicles and stuff as like a backdrop as well. So like the just like any D&D campaign or Pathfinder campaign or any TTRPG campaign for that matter, you're pretty much only limited by your imagination and everything. So like this is like stuff like this is just basically like a tool for you to get a backdrop into it. So like for instance, like I'll come up with an example. So like if I wasn't necessarily going to use Shadow of the Dragon Queen as like an adventure book, but I wanted to get into Dragonlance and like maybe run my own campaign and use the War of the Lance and the Chronicles and stuff like that as background. Me coming into like into this like Naraka, or right in dead center of this place is where like kind of like the whole dragon army starts building up and everything. So like you could in a sense run like an espionage type of campaign. This is where character classes like the rogues would definitely shine and everything. So like you could like I said, with the espionage campaign type, you could run like a political intrigue, and maybe like your group of characters is coming from like Solamnia, and like you're tasked to like infiltrate like the Naraka or the Zakar or even Kur. Like you've got like initial reports like, oh, stuff is stirring, so you are sent off to like I said, as an espionage, and like kind of gather information and everything. And so like then all of a sudden, boom, lo and behold, like you got a bunch of Draconians. As my cat wants to become part of the star of the show again. Yes. Yeah. He wants to join in on the fun. Yep. Yeah, you always want attention, huh? But like espionage, political intrigue, and then you, like I said, you could pretty much introduce like the Draconians and like the whole like concept of the issues of how like the dragon eggs are stolen, like how you're now, maybe you get the backdrop of like metallic dragons are now you learn about them and they're kind of like in the background, and so like you can use that as kind of like, well, maybe you're trying to save, and then take a sideways detour from the espionage and trying to save the eggs that are yet to hatch into the Draconians, and like so you can kind of see that like the ideas for campaigns and just Dragonlance alone are endless and everything. Yes, I know. Yeah, you want so much attention and everything. You're such an attention junkie. Yeah, star of the show. Yeah, you gonna go do it? There you go. All right. So, and hey, you can have your own familiar and everything with like your druids and like rangers and stuff and everything. As a little cat is that helps with the espionage and everything. So, this is just like kind of like the touch upon like the whole concept of like the TV show that like was defunct, and so like how you can go about, in essence, like doing something like in a sense making our own adventures and not having to worry about like, oh well, hey, the TV show's like done, so like instead of being bummed out, hey, let's make our own TV show with our own campaign and everything. So this is just kind of like bouncing an idea off of like material that we do have, and even if we don't have material that is coming out, like they said, the TV show. So this is just another idea to sit there and be able to have fun with like the whole TTRPGs, and like even with stuff coming not coming out, like they said with the TV show, we could in a sense, like I said, make our own TV show